can I help? Greetings, traveler. It's not often we get visitors this far up the mountainside, but I'm sure Vachlokmir is pleased to have the company. Vachlokmir is not a pet. If anything, I am his. Oh, do you speak dragon? How wonderful! Maybe that will get Vachlokmir talking. He's very loyal, but very shy. I wish it weren't so, but folk are scared. In Skyrim, when it comes to fear, everyone's a merchant, and everyone's buying. The housewife frets and paces, afraid the dragon will swoop down and eat her children or set fire to her home. The city guardsman trains in the barracks, worried all his boasts of heroism will melt away under the heat of a dragon's flame. The farmer picks his crops before they are ripe, and the hunter starves the forest of rabbits and deer. Same goes for the blacksmith, lumberjacks, milk and tavern maids, every bored, middle-aged, drunken soul who thought they had nothing to live for. Now, all of a sudden, they have something to lose. So entire towns live in fear, leaping to panic every time a cloud drifts over the sun. It's very sad. If only they'd lie down their fear and open their hearts, they'd see that the dragon is capable of mercy and a creature of kindness. That's why it's very important that we learn the language. We can't understand them if we can't communicate. Really? Well, if you're that curious, I'll gladly tell you my story. I was raised in a community of hunters. My mother taught me to track, hunt and skin, and my father taught me how to craft cages and traps. He was so proud when I fashioned my first bear trap. He shoved it to a neighboring hunter, who offered to make a good use of it. A group of hunters had found a bear alcove near the outcroppings by Evergreen Grove. That day, 4 of them left, but only 3 returned. One of them spit at my father as he passed him, then threw my manglet trap to the ground. One of the bears had managed to break free from its jaws. 2 of the hunters blamed my father, and I blamed myself. But one of them, a Nordman with a low brow and sad eyes, told me the truth of it. The bear was a mother, driven by her need to protect her cubs. He said not even the fangs of a dragon could have held her. He tossed my hair and gave me a smile more black than white, but it brightened my day all the same. Yes, I realized that every beast has a family. Mothers, fathers, daughters and sons. And our right to hunt is not any more valid than their right to live. To the north, in the forest of Falkreath, I was tracking an elk with hoofprints as big as the white stag of legend. I meandered through the forest, my eyes fixated on the dirt, when I found the track stamped over by a much larger print. As I ran my fingers across the edges, a long shadow crept over my body, and it wasn't until then that I took my eyes off the ground. I shrieked so loud the birds and the cicadas fled from the trees. Suddenly, I was face to face with an actual dragon. Once I was all out of screams and all out of breath, I realized I was still alive. That's when I noticed the arrow lodged into his wing. He doesn't like it when I say so, but Vachlokmir is very sensitive. The wound was minor, but I knew he needed my help. So I reached for an old hunter's salve I had in my satchel, and I decided to heal him. It kindles my heart to know that there are those who judge not by fear and rumor, but by truth and honor. Vachlokmir did no more than grunt when I dug my hands into his scales and climbed up his great back. I maneuvered his spine, grabbing fangs of rock that jutted from his skin. The arrow was right there, near the crook where his body met his wing. I clutched the arrow by the fletchings, yanking it out with all my strength. Too much strength. The force of it made me lose my balance. I would have fell to the ground and croaked my skull, if Vachlokmir didn't swivel his head around to catch me. But even after I applied the poultice and a healing spell, Vachlokmir was in no condition to fly. Mentally, anyway. And it wasn't long before some of the other hunter folk came stumbling through in search of prey. There were 2 of them, dressed in scale armor, with bright silver coins of light shining off their chest plates. When I heard their voices laughing through the trees, I dove into the thickest of grass and lay in wait, my dagger clenched between my teeth. The hunters, meanwhile, drew their weapons, their eyes mesmerized by the great beast that lay wounded before them. Most would have fled at the sight of Vachlokmir, but when the dragon covered at the sight of them, it only gave them courage. That's a dangerous way to think. Should manfolk kill his cousin because he wears a javelot necklace? When the hunters came, Vachlokmir curled up his head and tail, hiding under the canopy of wings. He was so teeny. The hunters laughed as they split up to flank him. Slaying a dragon was great prestige. Nobody would ever believe it wasn't. I pulled the dagger from my teeth and watched as the shorter one circled toward me. I could practically smell the stink hopping off his furs. I rose to a crouch and raised my arms to his throat. When my nose betrayed me, I sneezed. Both hunters turned toward me, but I managed to get the short one. All I felt was the rush and the hot spray of blood trickling down my leg. My body was on fire, but I was scared. Perhaps Vachlokmir sensed this, because as the other hunter charged, he unfurled his wings and let out a roar. The sky shook and the earth cracked, and the man fled like no man I've ever seen. But I reckoned he'd be back, maybe with the city guard. We had to hide, although the hardest part was convincing Vachlokmir he could still fly. You're a very kind adventurer. Perhaps you would like to stay for dinner? Vachlokmir is getting quite good at hunting deer. Goodbye. Alright then.